Welcome to Brothers King Media, where we view eternity through the lens of art. My name is Samuel.
And I'm Sully.
And I'm Chris.
Again.
Again. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
So, we are here for the grand finale, the apex of the discography of the David Crowder Band. I'm quite excited about this tonight. No comment.
I'm excited to listen to it today.
Yeah, so pumped. It's like, you know...
Well, we've been listening to this all year.
After, listening to David Crowder all year, it's like, give us rest, God. Give us rest. And
I see what you did there.
Yes, I see what I did there, too. Yes. I'm sorry, don't mean to be snide and facetious.
I mean, I think it's...
Yes, I do. That's me. I'm that guy.
I think the issue is, like, they're so good by worship music standards that it's I don't know, like, maybe...
While worship Scott moment, where that episode when he's like, sometimes I start a sentence and then don't know where it's going.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is...
Like when you get to the, the segment of a test when it's the written portion and you have to write paragraphs. So you're like, I just started this sentence, but don't know where it's going. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking funniness.
You're fine.
Go ahead.
So what I was saying is, I guess praise and worship music, I feel like it's the only quote-unquote Christian genre which deserves to be its own genre.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is it's unique enough.
Christian worship?
Praise and worship.
Praise and worship.
Like, honestly, I read a thing, and I have to agree with it, that what they should do is just get rid of the Christian genre. And the fact that the only thing that makes a genre Christian is the record label it's on.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly. Like, yeah, there's a few artists here and there, but really, it's... If you're on Tooth and Nail, or Fair Trade Records, or Sparrow, then you're a Christian artist, right?
Right.
So one person said, just get rid of the Christian genre. We have praise and worship. This means you specifically do praise and worship music. Everyone else, you're out there in the genre you're in, whether it be alternative, folk, whatever. That's your genre. Whether you sing about God or not is your business, but you have to go deal with it with the rest of your genre.
Right.
I personally would like that. It'd be, I think a lot of artists would lose a lot of money, though. So it's never going to happen. A lot of record labels would lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, I can't deny, if I started a record label, it would be a predominantly Christian record label. It'd be people singing about their faith and stuff. So, I say all that to say... It's been an interesting year listening to David Crowder Band, praise and worship music for a good chunk of the year. I mean, I've obviously listened to other music all year, but when focusing our podcasts on this.
Yeah, I work 50 to 70 hours a week. This is all I've listened to all year. I haven't actually spent much time listening to much else besides our own written music that I'm trying to perfect. But that pretty much David Crowder Band has been my life outside of work. And sleep.
So, here we are at the grand finale. And, the album is Give Us Rest, or A Mass in C, the happiest of all keys.
A Mass Requiem.
A Mass Requiem.
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 Say it with me. Requiem.
Requiem.
Okay.
So, this is the final album. Let's go ahead. We're going to pause for a second while we get some stats here. Stats.
Sorry. It was funny.
All right. So, this album was released in 2012. It is the last of the threes in the 4-3 cycle, so has the 3 syllables. So its companion 4-syllable album would be A Collision. Which this album does bear a lot of resemblances to A Collision, I will say. Wouldn't you agree, Solomon?
Yes, I would agree. 100%.
The album was released on 1/10/2012. 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 equals plus 2 equals 7. Give Us Rest has 34 tracks. 3 plus 4 equals 7. The two phrases in the subtitle, a requiem, mass, and C, and the happiest of all keys, each have 7 syllables. I didn't even realize that. Thank you, DCB plus Weebly. And the album is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections based in 2 discs. And it's based on the Catholic Mass, specifically the burial of a person. And while, I do not espouse to Catholicism at all, I do appreciate the context of, they're at least putting some thought into how they, the order and structure is interesting. Because it mirrors someone's funeral and the band is dying.
Literally.
So, I think that's a kind of cool metaphor to run with.
Yeah.
Honestly.
For sure.
So, first thoughts on this album before we dive into the individual moving parts. Chris, as the person who has not had to listen to this all year, what was your thoughts listening to both discs of this, so all 2 hours of this today?
All 2 hours. I'll be honest, I listened to half of those songs and that's it.
Oh, Chris.
I listened to a good portion of those.
You're the worst. You're fired.
What is your thoughts on the parts you listened to?
I liked that Shine song. I can't remember what it's called.
Let me feel your shine, which I will get to in a minute because it has some of my favorite lyrics in the album.
It was good. That's the song I like the most out of the album.
I'm sorry, but is that because it's the first one on Wikipedia that comes up?
No, I just went to YouTube.
Because literally, it's the very first song right here.
It's like number 7 or not 7 or no, it's like 8 or 9 of their album. I guess I'm not sure. I just know I listened to it today and I liked it. I was like, I heard this before. So, I mean, it was good. I mean, the song and the lyrics sounded really good.
Yeah, he was accurate. It is 9.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, I mean, I did listen to it. So.
What a good guy. What a great guy.
Solomon, what are your thoughts on, overall thoughts on this album? Like, just a general first impressions.
Let me think for a minute, because this was a harder one to
So I think I'm gonna phrase this up for you. It's dense. Like, there's just so
I like the
much
word moist more.
But what I mean is it's so packed. Like, both discs are packed to the brim with just so much. It's hard to digest.
It's almost too much.
Exactly. Like, there's just so much to digest in this album. It is not an easy album just to sit down and listen to. There's just so much going on. I think as a last album, it's fitting that they would just throw everything in the kitchen sink in there.
Right.
I do feel like that is a bit fitting. With that said, it's just, there's so much. I one time went and made like a fan edit, if you will, and all I did was make a playlist of just the actual, like, songs. I took out all the in-between interludes, all the musical pieces, all the sequences, and did just the songs. And it compacted it down to a nice hour and 15 minutes. And it's not a bad album that way, but it does, I don't know, it's the sheer volume of music on it is both its greatest strength and its greatest weakness.
I mean, I don't think really, though, honestly, yeah, it's a lot, but like no one does it no one does music like the David Crowder Band. Mm-hmm. They're like light years ahead of their genre.
I think this is
Well, okay, they're light years ahead of like contemporary Christian music.
yes. Praise and worship. As we said, praise and worship is its own genre, I believe, and they're definitely light years ahead of all the praise and worship artists.
Okay, so it's like so David Crowder Band is like light years ahead of contemporary Christian music, but it's almost like contemporary Christian music's like light years behind modern music.
Yeah.
So like pretty much, David Crowder Band is just like right there with everything else.
I also think, unlike a lot of artists, particularly back in 2012 and nowadays, they are a little bit of a throwback to album-centered works. Like, you don't find too many artists that strive to make an album. They strive to make a collection of songs that will fill up space on a disc. Aaron Sprinkle said it best. He's a producer for Tooth and Nail, as well as guitarist for Rose Blossom Punch and Poor Old Lou. And he said it best. He said, everyone thinks like we can't walk into the studio, because he's produced almost half of Tooth and Nail's discography.
Yeah.
And he said, people think we walk into the studio with a master plan and we got 10 perfect songs planned out. No. We have 3 or 4 really good songs planned out, and then we're just trying to get to 10 so we don't feel like we're ripping off people by making them buy a whole entire CD. And with digital music, that doesn't even matter anymore.
Right. I mean, I feel like this is like... It's hard to explain like a lot of like David Crowder Band's music, like albums in general, but like, I don't know. Like, it's an operatic structure, just like church music.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like that these last two albums were just like really just the big bang of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know how to really explain it. Like,
so it's like if the last album, if church music was their filet mignon, this is them throwing one last feast, and it's not quite the filet mignon. It's not perfect, but it's just everything you could potentially want in a buffet.
Okay, we'll just go with that, because none of us have better. Well, I don't have anything better than that.
So, this album, yes.
Of course, Chris don't have nothing better than that.
Because he didn't listen to it. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed.
Not all of it.
Yeah, Chris, you're the worst.
I know.
Alright, so let's start with the music. Oh, the music.
Oh, the music.
It starts off very similar to A Collision. A kind of audio interlude, or like just a random interlude that isn't really music. And then a piano piece with just Crowder at the keyboard. This one, though, Give Us Rest, is a very beautiful song. Like, I love it so much. I will just sing it to myself when I'm really tired. And fun fact, I don't know if you noticed
You can sleep to that?
Well, I don't know if you noticed it, but that song, Give Us Rest, is like, shows up at least 3 times in this album. First as the piano intro, then as an audio interlude on second disc, and then as like a bluegrass song or southern song near the end of the disc. True story.
I didn't really notice that.
Yep. So it's interesting.
But of course, the guy with the Death Star on his chest would know.
I pay attention to details. And then the rest of it is just, it feels kind of, with the exception of maybe the electronica of church music, like they're just trying to cover every genre they've touched on in their 6 albums.
Every genre, dude. Every genre.
It starts off with, I find it interesting the progression the music goes in. So the music starts off with just, honestly, it's what they do. It's just their radio
It's what
hits.
the people want.
Basically, like sincerely. It's, Give Us Rest, Let Me Feel Your Shine, which is, I think it's one of the best singles they've ever released.
Let me feel you shine.
Like, it should have been so much bigger than it was.
I Raise a Knife to the thing I love most.
So that's
Praying
my
you'll come so that I can have both.
That's my favorite lyric in the whole entire album. But
I think that's actually like my favorite lyric in the whole entire like
discography of them,
everything that they've said.
Like, so the lyric is, it's in the second verse of Let Me Feel Your Shine. I lift a knife to the thing I love most, praying you'll come so I can have both. This works on so many levels. Like, one, it's referencing Abraham, obviously. You know, Abraham had to sacrifice his son. But then Crowder in an interview was saying how it also is about the breakup of the band because, you know, he's like, okay, God, if you're done with this band, I'm okay with that, but I really don't want to be done with this band yet. So I just find it a really cool, like...
Too bad that didn't work out like Abraham and Isaac.
I know, right? God was like, no, don't break up. Just no.
No, Crowder, no. Actually, I feel like they weren't supposed to break up. That's why the Bougelages ain't doing so well.
Well.
I love them, though. I like them more than I like the new Crowder guy.
So they, for the first, fourth of the album, it's just their kind of radio music. And then...
Okay, sorry.
You're fine. And then, interestingly enough, obviously, this does have different sections. I just don't have it pulled open. Just a moment here. So, the first section is the entrance, or the introit. And this is everything up to Come and Find Me. Then the plea, which is God have mercy, why me, fall on your knees. Which I like God have mercy. Kyrie eleison.
See, that's the problem I had with the songs, is knowing which one's which because of all the Latin.
Yes, there was a lot of Latin.
Thank you, Roman Catholicism.
And then the plight, which was Let Me Feel Your Shine, Blessedness of Everlasting Light, which, so I feel like right about the time they get to Blessedness of Everlasting Light, dude, that song is weird. Like, it's really good. Like, darn, it's a good song. But it almost sounds like a creepy circus song. It's the one that has the dun, dun.
Oh, God, yeah.
Doesn't it almost sound like a creepy circus song?
It does.
Blessedness of... But it's so good.
Yeah, it's like the creepy, phantom clown and everything.
But the lyrics in it are superb. Like, I know I wasn't going to go into lyrics right away, but I will just make an exception here. And these lyrics just really stood out to me. So the lyrics for Blessedness of Everlasting Light, which, it's actually a tract. So it's an old song. But, this is written by David Crowder and Mike Hogan. So thank you, Mike Hogan, for the weird beat.
He is the weird one.
Oh Lord, forgive me, the faithful we've outlived. Oh Lord, forgive. God, hold your hand. Oh God, hold back your hand. Stay your wrath again. Oh God, hold back your hand. Now, I find that
the song sounds bipolar to me.
No, it's like saying... It's honestly a plea for... God withhold your judgment, which honestly is something that is not addressed enough in modern praise and worship music.
That's true.
Like, everything's like, Jesus loves you, you're fine just the way you are, yada yada, which is fine.
Yes, thank you, Bruno Mars.
But you don't hear enough of, God is a jealous God, right?
Yeah.
That, please withhold your wrath from us.
Seriously, bro. Like, dude.
So, and then Blessedness of Everlasting Light, no more pain, no more night. I'm assuming they're talking about heaven by that point. But then I like the second verse. It goes into God, reach out your hand, full of grace again. God, reach out your hand. So showing the both grace and fury, which they touch on a little bit, ever so briefly, in their first album, the God of Wrath song.
Yeah. And
I feel like this is kind of the conclusion of that song. It's like, okay, here's the final word on how God is a God of wrath and mercy.
I'm pretty sure, actually, that all their albums, there's tracks on all their albums that go through all 6, and each one tells the first part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's How He Loves Us with SMS Shine. I don't know, but like, you know, those are on the same album.
Yeah.
But like the general idea of like this last album touches up on a lot of the songs from the first album.
Yeah. And then after Blessedness of Everlasting Light, we have an interlude, which is just kind of an interesting little interlude. And then we have the sequences. Chris, did you at least get to the sequences?
Sequences?
That's when he stopped listening to it.
When they started, like, shredding the piano for 5 minutes straight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just, like, listening to it. I was like, is this going to go forever?
He skipped it.
I didn't skip
dude,
it.
it's some of the best instrumental work, though.
Is it like a whole song of just instrumental work?
No, it's
like
9
tracks
15
minutes.
Of epic.
Okay, more than 15 minutes. 9 times 5. It's like 45 minutes of epicness.
But it is some of the best instrumental work that the Crowder Band has ever done. Like, without a doubt. Mike D finally gets to shred some piano on record. And it's pretty epic. No words.
No, dude, yeah. Everyone knows Mike D's awesome.
And
Mike D's like the glue that holds the band together.
Well, poor guy.
He's the bassist. No
Nothing
offense
wrong with
to
the
him.
bassist.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Sam. Nothing wrong with the bassist at all. They're the best. They do more than everyone.
And then it's a lot of instrumental until we get to like a Latin chant, which Mark wrote.
Poor guy.
Mark Wahlberg.
Waldrop,
sorry. And then in these sequences, you get a beautiful God You Came Down, where Chris August joins in. Honestly, I love the sequences. It's like those 9 songs should have been like their own EP, I almost feel like.
Yeah.
I just like them so much. It's just them going nuts on everything instrumentally they have not done yet. Or have done, just not to this degree.
It's like bluegrass metal. Ish. It's weird, man. It's weird.
And then we break from that and go into the second album, the second disc. And from there we touch on like some southern stuff, which is where we get 2 of... I always think of them as one song because Digital Age covered it as one song in their first EP.
Yeah.
Oh My God / I Am a Seed. Which is I think they should have released that as a single. It was right around 2012. Mumford & Sons was huge. They could have jumped on that tailgate.
See, I could see them as what are they even? Like bluegrass rock or something?
Mumford & Sons?
Yeah,
folk technically is their...
Folk
was
rock.
their genre before they...
They're still like folk.
They went back to it, but they were doing like rock, straight ahead rock for a minute.
Yeah, folk rock, because like you can't go from being folk to just rock. It's folk rock because of the voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they would have released "Oh My God, I Am a Seed" as a single, it would have done well.
Yeah.
Like it's a good song, and I feel like I'm just monologuing about how much I love this album. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, bro. I listened to the album. I love the album. It's I've listened to it more than once this week. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry.
Are we able to talk about like bands that are still like playing? Because I've been listening to like
What the
the
heck is
Digital
wrong with
Age for the past few days.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to their new album stuff. I mean, it sounded good. You know, I didn't. I mean, you guys might think something's wrong with it, but like I liked it. You know, I like their other albums.
I don't
too.
think something's wrong with it. I think there's something wrong with you.
No, I think what it is. I was reading a article about it, and it said basically one thing to keep in mind is the sheer amount of music you listen to. I listen to ridiculous amounts of music. I am always trying to listen to new things, get my brain interested in something new, interesting, whatever, new genres. So I've listened to so much worship music, it just like blends together. I'm like, it's just all kind of the same to me. But if you haven't listened to a whole lot of music, if you've only listened to 3 or 4 bands, and then you listen to like the Passion CD or Hillsong United for the first time, or Digital Age's newest album, it's going to sound fresh because no one else is quite doing that thing. But then when you listen to 10 other artists who are all doing the exact same thing,
Oh, it's not so new anymore.
you're just like, oh, this is getting old.
This is not new to me.
That's true.
And then the music, they go into a few generic praise and worship songs. After All Holy isn't a bad one out of it. I think it was technically a single off this album. I know, interestingly enough, when Crowder and the Digital Age both released an EP after the release of it, it's one song they both covered.
Yeah.
Was After All
Digital
Holy.
Ages went bigger, though.
I mean, their EP was pretty popular for a minute, but... but then the other 3 songs that follow are just kind of generic praise and worship. I feel like they were like some songs they wrote for the Passion Conference that they had to play at every year, and just didn't quite know what to do with.
Yeah.
And then it ends in the most unexpected of ways. You would think it would kind of end like on an epic note, but instead it ends with them just playing some bluegrass numbers, specifically old hymns. Because He Lives, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, etc. It's not a bad way to end the album.
No.
I like... It does make me... Well, I won't even say it makes me wish they'd done a hymns EP, because that's basically what this is. A little hymns EP tucked away in their final album.
Right.
So, I mean, I really... And that's the musical journey you take on this album.
Right. I mean, there's not a lot to go off. Like, it's good music and it's good lyrics, but it's not like a whole lot to expound on. Because I feel like in this, we've already expounded on this through all the other albums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this it is different in a couple ways, but like they've had their musicals, their instrumentals is what I should say.
Yeah.
They've had their instrumentals. They've had their bluegrass. They've had, of course, it was the Lime album. I think was it Lime?
Where they did bluegrass?
Yeah.
That was B Collision.
B Collision, yeah.
Which you didn't like, but
I didn't like it. No.
You're right. This is just everything they've done packed into 2 CDs. So the question I guess this all raises is, well, real quick before we get to our conclusion, favorite lyrics besides the ones we've already said. Any other lyrics that stand out to you?
I like Give Us Rest a lot. Like, that's like, on this album, my favorite song.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just because it's just like, it's simple but true. It's like, oh great God, give us rest. Can you see this? We're all worn thin from all of this. I don't remember the lyric after that at the moment. But like the second part, when, David's like, oh great God, do your best. Can you see this world is all a mess, and I've done my part too well, I guess. But I mean, that's probably my favorite song. I just can you take a song and make it thine from a twisted heart, broken heart twisted up like mine.
And I like
crooked heart twisted up like mine.
I like that it almost follows on the themes of a remedy of, we are in the world to be the remedy.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we've given our best shot, God, but now we're all wore out from this.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting, the lyrical themes continuing. Chris, other than Let Me Feel Your Shine, any lyrics that stood out to you?
I would think I'm going through the ones I listened to. I don't really know the names, but I listened to it earlier. I think Fall on Your Knees is really good. I listened to that for a little bit, and I was like, oh, you know, something different. I never heard this song before, obviously, but it was different to me, I guess. And you said listen to like different songs you haven't heard of before, and like getting used to getting your brain to going. So I was like, oh, you know, maybe this is different. Maybe I need to outbranch my, you know, genre, I guess, into different like ways of music. And I did listen to one of the songs where it was like forever long of like just piano and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is like classical kind of, you know, ish.
Yes,
And
that was sequence 1 in the intro, I think.
That was good.
To the sequences.
Yeah,
I love those sequences. I just think they're so cool.
I feel like they were like, all right, Mike D, you've been so dedicated to that bass. Here's the piano.
Shred on, buddy.
Here's the cello.
Shred on.
Jack was like, shred on, Mike D. Shred on.
Basically.
It's what the people want.
Yes, that's how that conversation
You're going to melt their faces off.
He did. He melted my face, man. Yeah. Every time I listen to that.
Oh, man, if I was
I would just love to see Crowder Band do just like a very, like, a one-night reunion where they do nothing but come out and play the 9 sequences.
I was about to say one-night stand, but that's not right.
Yeah, but like a one-night reunion.
Yeah.
And they just come out and play the sequences. Like, honestly, what the sequences remind me of, I don't know if you guys have listened to it, Side 2 of Abbey Road by the Beatles. It's famous for its medley on Side 2, where they basically took like 10 different Beatles songs that were kind of half-finished, and Paul McCartney and George Martin, their producer, went and just kind of cobbled them together in one long epic medley. And it's now one of their most well-known pieces as the medley. And that's kind of what these sequences remind me of a little bit.
Yeah, dude, did I tell you about that guy who traveled to another dimension where the Beatles never broke up?
Yes.
And brought back a whole album of songs that no one else has ever heard them sing before?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's got to be somebody in the world that's heard them if it's real, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not real. It's like, some Beatles sound alike.
That makes sense. There it is.
Wow, you didn't think about this solution earlier?
No, because I want to believe in something bigger.
So, okay, my favorite lyrics outside of Let Me Feel Your Shine, because those are just such good lyrics. I do like Blessedness of Everlasting Light. It's just it's very unique.
Yeah.
I also like well, it's funny, I was harping on it for being generic worship, but Sometimes, which is in that little string of songs, and it's your love that we adore. It's like a sea without a shore. We're lost in you. We're lost in you. Sometimes it's like we're never enough. Sometimes everyone gives up. I just think that's really good, especially for a worship song. It's very real, raw, and honest.
Right.
Which you don't get enough in praise and worship of.
No.
So that's my vote for favorite lyrics.
All right, Chris?
Well, he said it, Fall on Your Knees.
Oh, okay. That's his favorite song.
Well,
no, it's my favorite lyrics.
Fall on Your Knees, Forgiven and Free.
Just that part, Fall on Your Knees? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the only part he heard.
That's like... Well, so,
when he said it out loud, reading the list.
Yes. But hey, can't you hear that as like an altar call song? Fall on your knees.
Oh, hear the angel voices. Yeah, I can totally hear it. That's a joke just because it's Christmas time. I'm sorry.
It is less than a week till Christmas.
Yeah,
dude, it's 3 days.
Tomorrow.
4 days.
All right. So let's give out some final thoughts on this. I know they didn't write it by any means, but I do like them ending with Because He Lives. It's a great hymn.
Oh, Bill Gaither.
Did Bill Gaither write that one?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow.
Laugh at Bill Gaither all you want. He is a good songwriter.
Hey.
Like, he has written some
Hey, ain't
classics.
nobody making fun of Bill Gaither. Everyone's making fun of his hair.
Or lack
His
thereof.
hair has its own mirror.
Thank you, Mark Lowry.
We love you, Mark. Oh, Mary, did you know? Is his mother Mary? Because that's probably what he wrote it for. Mary, did you know that your son was going to be a psycho? We love Mark Lowry. He's not really a psycho. I, in fact, got to meet him a couple years back, and he felt my back muscles and said he liked them. It was weird because he was signing my T-shirt, and he's like, "Ooh, them muscles." He's like 70 years old now.
Yeah, he's old.
So
He's got it.
Oh, man.
All right,
Okay.
so,
No, I am not saying Mark Lowry sexually assaulted me. He's not that kind of guy. He's a good guy. I'm sorry. No one's going to hear this. So, I don't know what I'm worried
I have a
about.
lot of editing to do.
No, you don't. This is like the very minimum amount of editing
It's
you've
true.
ever had to do.
It's true. I
You
will
know
give you
why?
that.
Because I'm on thinking pills.
All right, let's hope those are legal.
It's called Adderall. I'm joking. I'm
You're
joking.
fine. All right.
Oh, man.
I feel like I said at the beginning of this album, it's so dense with stuff. I feel like I would have more to say about it. It's one of those albums you have to listen to appreciate. And at that, I would say you have to listen to it like in one sitting to truly appreciate it. And that's hard to do because no one just takes 2 hours just to listen to music anymore.
Mm-mm.
And,
No, they don't.
I feel like that's a shame.
It is. It really is.
Like, there was just something special about sitting and listening to an album front to back.
Yeah, like when you're sleeping.
No, just to actually just sit and listen.
Just to sit and listen. Just
I mean, even if like you're
come and listen.
like cleaning the house or something, but listening to an album, I feel like there's just something unique about that experience.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So for this album, my first inclination is to give it the full 9 stars, and just
I
be
could
like,
do that too,
just be
honestly.
like, but then at the same time, there's just so much. Like, do they need all the interludes? Do they need all the orchestral pieces? All the, what do we just call them, Solomon? Not the musicals, the instrumentals.
Yeah.
Like, is that necessary for this album to still be a good album? The hymn covers.
Yeah.
Or if we took all that out, is it better or is it worse off without all that stuff?
See, I heard an interview from them about this album, and I think it was actually Mike D and David Crowder. It may have been Mike D and Jack. It was Mike D though, and Mike D was doing the talking, and they're like, "Why so many interludes? Why so much blah blah blah?" No, this is like a legitimate like question that they were asking.
Yeah.
And Mike D was like, "Well, it's musical rest, and we're asking for rest." So a lot of the songs are, about it just depends on what you're doing. But like this song, it rests so much, and then it rests and goes into the next song. But it's like just talking about periods of rest.
That does
I
bring in some
mean,
perspective.
there's also other reasons for those being the songs, but those are just a lot of the pieces that have the different kinds of rest.
All right. Well, as their grand finale, compared to all the music they've made prior, it's like I've already given A Collision and Church Music both 9 stars.
Yeah.
And to give this 9 stars says it's as good as those 2 albums. And part of me wants to be like, it's not as perfect as those 2 albums, but it's still so deserving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what's your thoughts on it, Solomon? Like, what would you rate it? Like, just break it down for us. So, lyrics, why do you give lyrics 3 stars, if you do? Music, overall.
Start with music. I'd give music a 3 definitely, just because there's so much. There's like so much variety. And not like it's consistent. It's not like you get it's what
It's not genre roulette.
it's not like going from this like dubstep into this folk, into this southern gospel.
Though if they did that, I think they'd probably make it work somehow.
Yeah, they would make it work somehow, but I'm just saying it's not that.
Yeah.
And it's all, honestly, it's all the same thing. It's all the operatic, just almost like orchestral.
Mm-hmm.
Like orchestrative. Orchestral, yeah. It's almost like orchestral. Even though, like, it's not like, you know, all the bells and whistles, but it meets all the quotants. It does everything it's supposed to.
It kind of reminds me of, like, if you listen to, like, Mozart or Beethoven, I mean, like, really listen to them, not just listen to their greatest hits. Their songs are like, one song will be an hour long because it has different parts.
Right.
And this album almost feels like one giant song in 7 different parts.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Except for I didn't know about that. I wasn't going to say anything about classical music.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's what I was going to say. Is it all sounds like one song, like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I just used that.
I mean, it's a one giant song broken into different parts. Though that does what in 6 minutes. What this takes 2 hours to do.
Yeah, this takes 2 hours to do what that does in 6 minutes. Oh, God rest their souls. Not all of them are dead, but still.
Neither. Okay, so music you give a solid 3.
Yeah.
What about lyrics?
Lyrics, I'm going to have to go with probably a 2. No, okay. I'm sorry. I have to give them a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to give that a 3.
And then here's where I'm struggling. How well it holds up against all their other music and music at the time. I mean, music released at the time, it has it beat.
Oh,
easily.
well, definitely.
But
yeah.
all their other music, how does it hold up?
I mean, I'm going to say that, honestly, it holds up. I'm going to give it a 3 because, listen, I feel like this song, not only is it asking for rest, but it's also completement.
Mm-hmm.
The completion of the past 5 albums.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I feel like that this song only holds up because we can find parts of every other album that they've had in it.
So if they would have released this as their second album, for instance,
yeah,
you don't think it would hold up quite as well?
If they released this as their second album, I don't think that church music would have held up. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because what happens here is they don't go from just one sound for the album.
Mm-hmm.
They have now decided to take on the task of making this album finish the storyline of every other album that they've had. Hence, having so many different parts.
I get you. So, it just now occurred to me, there's 7 parts to the album. 7 is the number of perfection. And they're like their favorite number. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I've been saying it the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna have to like throw a 9 out of 2. Like music, like you said, it's them just going out with bang with an absolute. I feel like there should have been more singles from this album, and they should have been bigger than they were. I say that about all their albums, though.
Yeah. Are there 3 or 2 like studio EPs?
So there's Bee Collision, Sunsets and Sushi. Technically, Summer Happiness is technically a studio EP, even though it's only 4 songs.
Okay.
And then the Christmas EP.
Okay, but if we didn't count the Christmas one, and we didn't count the that one, the one you just said,
Summer
that was
Happiness.
only 4. Because isn't that like just the live?
No.
No, which one's the live one?
That's Live Remedy and Lime CD.
Oh, okay, so you didn't even count those.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I was just trying to test a theory here because they have the 6 albums, and it's really too bad that they don't have 7 albums.
Well,
because it'd be 7 albums, but on the 7th album there's 7 sections.
I like that they only did 6 albums though, because what they were basing it off of was 6 days of creation, and the 7th day was rest, so nothing happened. Hence, by the time they get to album number 6, they're begging for rest because they're all wore out.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things, that's why they did the 3 and 4 syllables.
Yeah.
So, like, the first album, Can You Hear Us, it's reflected and album number 4, Remedy, in that they're both really simple worship songs, much like Day 1 was the sun, and then Day 4, if I'm remembering this correctly, was stars and moon. It was a reflection.
Actually, you know what? Since we're here, why don't we just go ahead and talk about, let's just like cross-reference with the Bible. Since, there's 6 days of creation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just cross-reference. What was the, now
you're intrigued?
now I'm intrigued a little bit. Because we have, what was the first album? It's called Illuminate. No, it's called Can You Hear Us?
Yeah, it's a shame the first album's not called Illuminate.
I know, because,
They said, I was reading a interview with Crowder, though, and he said they had planned, they did the first 3 albums just kind of freestanding, but then when their deal got extended from 3 albums to 6 albums, they're like, okay, we are guaranteed 3 more albums no matter what. Let's plan this out. And so they really strive to make the last 3 albums match the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
So let's look up, I don't know why I don't know my creation story better. Genesis 1 here, so...
Well, there was the first day. God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Okay. So what's day number 4?
Hold on.
Please hold.
God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let there be a
sun and moon. So a reflection.
For reasons and for days and years.
So day 2, what was day 2?
Wait, hold on, was that? Okay, yeah. Day 2 was firmament in heaven.
So like the atmosphere.
What was the second album called?
Illuminate.
Yeah.
But like still, so atmosphere, and then day 5. What's day 5? Birds, right? Day 5 is birds.
Hold on. I'm trying. I wish I could like look up just. Yes, and God created great wells and. Wait, what is that song, by the way? The songs in that album.
Huh?
The 4th album or 5th?
The 5th album is.
Is that what you just asked, right?
Yeah, 5th album is church music.
Church music. Okay.
But still, it's sky and then birds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously day 3 is 4-footed beasts. No, what's day 3? What is day 3? Darn it, I don't know why I can't think.
I'm looking. Brought forth grass, herb yielding seed after his kind.
Okay, so day 3 is the creation of plant life, and then in day 6 we get human life, animal life.
What is Remedy? Remedy is 6. No,
Remedy is 4.
Church music. Oh, Christmas music is the 6th.
No, Christmas music's not an album.
Oh, okay.
It's a side project.
Okay,
so
then what was the 5th?
So the 5th is church music.
And the 6th is Give Us Rest.
Yes. But you notice, so the point they was making, it wasn't an exact parallel, but the point they was making was this album is like a part 1. So in this case, A Collision is part 1, plant life, right?
Yeah.
And then part 6 is the completion of that. So we have plant life, now we have more complex life forms, human life.
Mm-hmm.
And very similarly, like, this is a very complex version of A Collision.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting little thought process, if you will.
They did what, like, you can tell that they had nothing else to do. Like, you can tell, oh, we're set.
Yeah. No, you can tell they're a whole bunch of college dropouts.
Dropouts?
Well, I don't know if they ever finished college or not, but...
I'm sure.
Who?
They, the Crowder Band.
Oh, I was like...
No, we've been talking about Laurel and Hardy this whole entire time, Chris. You know.
Hey,
great comedy duo.
They are coming out with a movie soon, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Chandler Bing.
Alright, Chris. So, I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, so definitely 3 stars for their music. Definitely 3 stars for the lyrics. I feel like by the time they got to, I would say A Collision, their lyrics really hit their stride. Crowder, for what he may lack musically, he is a good lyricist, a very good lyricist. And the lyrics have never been lacking, really, since that third album. Really, since Illuminate, their lyrics really started upswinging, but it was A Collision, they hit their stride.
He uses a lot of hairspray. I'm sorry, but you know how he has like the fro going?
Mm.
It's a lot of hairspray because he has really thin hair.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
No,
I was
you're
just...
fine. I assume it's just a natural fro, personally.
It's straight. It's not froed. Jack has a natural fro.
I assume that's just what his hair does. Just,
I doubt it.
I mean, I don't think
Because
he's...
now it lays down.
Yeah, it's because he's grown out so long.
True.
Okay, so 9 stars. Chris, what do you give it? Like, from the parts you listen to, I guess. I mean, can you judge it by half an album?
Yes.
No, because your points don't mean anything.
Shut up.
Make it, too. Me.
Um,
Shut up.
Music, I would say it's a 3 because what I listened to was really good, I thought, for their last album.
So it was a half.
For lyrics, I would say 3. You know, I mean, they did really good on this last one. They really did. And
But
then
can you
sound,
really judge? Because you haven't listened to all of them.
Shut up. I can do what I want. And sound, I would say is a 3 because what like the
How it holds up.
Yeah, the lyrics and like the lyrics and the songs and how it sounded. How like when you could hear like it was like it sounded like an orchestra or whatever, you know, playing, and you kind of hear him like singing in the background of it. I kind of was like, oh, I like that. That was really cool.
And this album they recorded on the road, just like their Christmas album.
Really.
So.
See, that's really good then.
All right, guys, there we are, the grand finale of the Crowder Band. Next week, we will be stopping in with a brief detour into their greatest hits. I mean, I don't know. And then
So, can we just go ahead and rate that all as like a 9 because it's their greatest hits?
No. Their greatest hits is a very flawed album.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and give that 0.
Ouch. Maybe we'll just briefly
Wait,
talk...
what did we even get this thing?
9. It's just a perfect 9.
Straight up 9.
Yep. Not surprised. Maybe next week we'll briefly touch on the greatest hits album, but maybe we'll just kind of stray into some other topics. Maybe some like our favorite new music that's came out this past year, stuff like that. Just to kind of broaden the topics a little bit.
Chris Tomlin.
You know, it's going to be funny for Chris because he's like, oh yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. Because just now it came out for him.
Alright, guys. Once again, my name is Samuel.
And I'm Solly, and we have another Buckethead with us.
I'm Chris.
Again.
And keep being that glimpse of eternity.
Peace.